Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be doing a gear loadout for my Uinta Highline kit. After we posted the last video in the Hardline Challenge, many of you were asking what was in our packs. You probably saw some of the prototypes, you probably saw some other gear, and you're just wondering, hey, what do you pack for a 5-day high country trail such as the Uinta Highline? So this right here is the exact pack I took on the trail. I'm gonna be breaking down exactly what I took and why I took it in this video, and hopefully it gives you some ideas when you head out on your next adventure. All right, so I'm gonna start off by talking about the easy access stuff, and then I'll get into the main compartments. So obviously these are gonna be the easiest to get out of the way right now. I use smart water bottles on both of the sides. Those are just quick and easy for me to get. They're easy to fill. I don't know, I've just really adopted those and haven't looked back on bladders. In fact, there's a video we can post up here about why I don't use water bladders anymore. The other things that are quick access that I'll point out are going to be my Garmin InReach Mini. That proved to be crucial on this trail. You also saw me take what I consider one of my 2 luxury items on this trip, my Maven, I think they're the B2 binocular, little 8-power binoculars, which I absolutely loved. They're a little bit easier to get in and out when they were on me, but Maven is an awesome direct-to-consumer company, so if you need a pair of optics, they are phenomenal. I really like the owners over there as well. Just good guys. In this pouch right here, I'm typically running everything that I need really quick access to. I've got glasses. I've got my battery bank. Sometimes this would go in and out of my pack, but there's my battery bank. That is a 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank from Nightcore. And then on my cable, this is what I've learned to love to do, is I bring a USB-C adapter to charge my phone that can go onto a regular USB type port. 2 other things that I'm realizing are not in here right now, because I've done it on the trip since here, is I did have a charger for my Garmin watch, and then I also had a pair of wired headphones that are typically in this with my other electronic items. Going through here a little bit further, we had bug repellent. We did not need that on the trail, obviously. I had sunscreen. This is actually a Joshua Tree sunscreen. And typically what I'll do, if you buy the right one, because I'm wearing long sleeves typically when out there, and I'll show you what I'm gonna wear in a minute. But I will use this on my lips as well, so I don't have to bring a chapstick additional. I had this Petzl, I think it's the Bindi 2 headlamp. This worked out pretty well. I'll probably talk more about headlamps later, but we were doing some testing on some different headlamps and it worked out just fine. So that's what I had in my quick access. Let's dive into these other exterior pockets. So you'll see right here, this is my seat pad. This is an 1/8 inch foam pad. It folds out pretty dang big, which I really like because I can lay down on the trail really easy, or I can double it up and have a thicker seat pad. And then I put it underneath my sleeping pad at night. Not really as much for the R value, but more so for the anti-slip and extra protection to the ground. See this big awkward thing right here? This is my Tenkara fly fishing rod. Only got to fish for a few minutes, did get to catch a few fish, so that was fun. That was my other, what I would call luxury item that I took that was kind of additional. So I had my flies. I could have lightened that up for sure, I realized later, and then my line that goes to that. In this pocket, I keep my water filter so that it's quick access, as well as a pair of gloves. Jumping over to this side, this is where I keep my cook system. I've got my alcohol as well as my Toaks titanium pot. Now in here, I've got the siphon stove as well, and I think some of you guys have seen this before, but I'll quickly pull this out. What I set this on isn't the wire mesh system that they typically have, so that's the stove, a little Bic mini lighter. And then I actually have their pot stand, and I use 3 sections instead of 4, so it sells in 4 sections. But I use 3 sections, and I've bent the little fins just a hair so that I could, you know, take one less section out there and still have something that my pot can sit on and block a little bit of wind. So this works really well. I've used this for a long time now. Of course, because I'm on camera, I'm gonna struggle to build that, but there you go. So that's all I'm using for that. Stick that in the bottom, light it up, and then I've got the 550 milliliter Toaks titanium pot. So typically I would put my rain jacket in this pocket when I'm on the trail. I put it in the pack right now. I've got my titanium long-handled spoon. I've got, this is for additional water carry, which we needed only on day 1, so I wanted to bring something really light and collapsible. This clearly needs to be replenished, but this is my toilet paper, so I like to keep that on the outside of my pack as well. And that covers the entire outside of the pack. Now you'll see that this pack has a lot more space up here in the roll top. That's where all my food was. I'd especially leave the food that I was eating that day on an easy access point around here, but I had 5 days worth of food right there. Because it's not as full, I'm just gonna go in right from the zippered pocket here. This right here is our new, to come out later this winter, Nova UL jacket. This was awesome, especially for the amount of moisture we got on the trail. I don't want to give away too many things, but it was phenomenal and we all loved this jacket on the trail, at least everyone that got to use one. More importantly though, for that was this rain jacket. I think as we've mentioned in some of the comments, this is also a prototype rain jacket. It's a super awesome piece and we're planning to, well, I won't give a date, but this will be 2022. This right here is my kind of first aid kit. I've got my repair kit in here, got some wet wipes, I've got some salve from Squirrel's Nut Butter. That's just anti-chafe and whatnot. I still sometimes I'll put that like on my feet at night if they're feeling like they need some extra. I've got a little sewing kit in here, which I guess I'll pull out. This is something that I have wanted to do for a long time and just never got it together, but a few little sewing pieces, buttons, needles, and just a tiny spool thread. And that's all that I brought, but that could really save you if you had a gear failure somewhere out there. And then this piece was really nice. I should put this in my exterior pocket because I did need this, especially when I was fly fishing, but it's my little Gerber dime. I've learned to love this. It's everything you need and not more. It's a little heavier than some of the other knives that I typically take in an ultralight setup, but especially if I'm gonna be fly fishing, this thing is money. Plus, I've just learned to love having things like these little tweezers and everything else that this piece has to offer. Got some line. This is what I use to hang my food at night. Toothbrush, floss, more emergency type stuff, quick clot, some bandages, additional bandages. I was coming off of a dog bite, so I had a few extra things in here. Right here, I've got some extra batteries. I've got some duct tape in here, a fire starter, and then this is money. So I do want to pull this out. I'll take a second here. This is another Bic mini lighter. Now I like to have multiple fire starting sources on the trail. That's pretty important to me, but you'll see wrapped around that is Leukotape. Leukotape is a phenomenal product to have. I was using it a ton out there, and I've used it off and on throughout the summer, especially as I've been running for blisters and all sorts of anti-chafing. So it's just, that stuff really stays on your skin. It's a great product. So I buy it in a big roll, and then I rewrap it onto that. Here I've got just things like ibuprofen, and then this is just a little bit of soap for on the trail as well if I needed to wash up or wash any of my gear. Now I was pulling things in and out of this the whole time. This is a dry bag. You'll see this come a little bit later in the year as well, being available. But this dry bag right here is where I just kept everything dry. Now we got a ton of rain. Everything in the shadow light stayed pretty dang dry, but obviously inside of this is double protection. And we don't claim that the shadow light is waterproof, so make sure you're not expecting it to be fully waterproof. Now, diving into here, this is where I'm gonna typically keep my sleeping gear. This is a prototype sun hoodie. I brought this to sleep in, although I did end up wearing it on the last day out. So I was putting this on as a really light dry piece, about 4-ounce shirt here. This is about a 4-ounce pair of leggings. I was planning on only sleeping in them, but you did see me wear them also on the trail as it got super, super cold. And this is the hybrid, Lofttech hybrid balaclava. This was money as well. And then I'm right into my sleeping gear. So I had one of our limited edition pillows. So this is the same pillow we sell, or you can get for free, but it was a limited edition one we did for members only. So this right here, this will probably be the biggest surprise. This is actually a Thermarest Neo Air sleeping pad. Probably wondering why I'm using this, but we're prototyping currently new pads. So someone else in the group had our new prototype pad and was testing that. I was testing what I consider the benchmark or one of the best pads in the industry. So I've used this quite a bit, but it's really good to use the best when you're trying to design your next product. So that's exactly what I was doing. Everyone else in our group was still using our current sleeping pad, which is still a solid pad. Next piece, you guys have talked about this a ton. You wanna know more about this. This is our one-person trekking pole tent prototype. So we have a couple of these prototypes, and we had a 2-person prototype. Everyone was using these in the group. The main reason why is they're just lighter than our freestanding tents. Unfortunately, COVID has wrecked our production on tents, and so expect stockouts on our current tents and expect a lot of delays. We've had so many delays with this, but we'll be putting this on pre-sale sometime in 2022 for members, so watch for that, and then we will be shipping it sometime in 2022, fingers crossed. So this is a second pair of lined shorts. These are just some Nike ones. I like to bring these in case I ever like soaked out my other shorts, whether it be from rain or other items. So I have a dry pair of shorts, you can wash them for odor, or I could sleep in these as well. So I usually bring a second pair of underwear, and instead of pairing a second pair of underwear, I ended up bringing a second pair of shorts because they are extremely light. And then last but not least, I have my 15-degree long wide TopQuilt. This was money. We talked about this in the actual video, but yeah, these worked out super well. The redesign on these did wonderful, worked out super well. Did not need a warmer quilt. Maybe even could have got away with a 30-degree if the weather hadn't been so sour when the tent started to collapse on me in that bad pitch. But you can go again, watch that video. We'll link it up here as well so that you can see what the heck we were going through out there on the trail. Now, the last thing I want to cover before is what was I wearing, because that was also some of the questions we had. So let me grab that. Pretty dang simple. This is also another pair of running shorts. These ones are lined all the way out the bottom. So these have full liners, whereas the other ones were brief liners. I personally have started to like these a little bit more, but I go back and forth between them. A pair of Darn Tough hiking or mid-weight socks. I don't know that I showed those, but there's another pair in here. Might have got lost in the mess, but I bring 2 pairs of socks. And then this was the ever apparent bright sun hoodie that we were all wearing as well. This was a phenomenal piece, but lots of good testing on that and more to come, I'm sure, in the future. I was also using one of our Outer Vitals hats. This is just like we didn't design this hat, right? We're just logoing it. So this has stretch in it as well as that snapback, and I've really enjoyed this cap. Although a running cap might be a little bit more beneficial for the amount of exertion we were going through. And then last, just pull that off my foot. This is actually the shoe I was wearing. This is a Salomon Sense Ride 4. I have since retired these to daily wear and bought a second pair for running in. So that's why I'm wearing them here in the office. You see they got a little bit beat up here. I did have a little bit of a gator trap on here and was running a gator that could stick onto the shoe that someone in our office sewed up just so we'd all have something on the trail, which was really nice. I was also using Comperdel carbon fiber poles. These are awesome. Really love these. Comperdel's a company we just recently started to use and look at, and spent some time talking to their CEO. These are phenomenal. Their testing's phenomenal. Really happy with the weight of these. They're super light, but also just incredibly strong. So that's it. I think that is everything. No, my rain skirt. I do not have my rain skirt, but that was just simply a piece that it's just sil nylon, wraps around you. I think it's like 2.5 ounces for the thing. It compresses down to smaller than this pair of socks, maybe about that big actually. But I think I gave that to Brigham to use on a trip, so I don't have that in my possession. But I did have a rain skirt to go with my rain jacket. That's it. That's my whole gear loadout. You're probably wondering, how much does this weigh? Well, the binoculars add a pound. They're 16 ounces. My fishing kit, I think, is around 10 ounces. And so in total, I was right at about 14 pounds base weight. Not too shabby. I did have a 60-liter shadow light, and I did not need it. I thought that I would need it, and after I got all packed up, I definitely could have got away with the 45. So I will be switching out to a 45 most likely for pretty much all of my trips going forward, unless it got bigger than this trip or I needed more gear. So we didn't make it on this trip, and that also brings up the question of what gear would we have changed to get up and over Anderson Pass and to get through all that. First off, a pair of pants and a pair of boots would have gone a long ways. With that, I would have changed out my skirt to a pair of rain pants just to keep everything dry. That would have all helped a ton. But to be honest, that was like, it was needed, but it was superficial in the sense that I don't know if I would have still been comfortable going down the other side. In that case, I probably would have wanted some safety equipment that I don't use. I'm not a mountaineer yet, I guess you could say. I might have to become one if I want to keep climbing some of these big mountains, but maybe a little bit of mountaineering equipment to catch each other, or ice axe or something like that probably could have gone a long ways. Even crampons. Crampons would have been obvious. So if I would have had crampons and maybe an ice axe, that probably would have given us enough comfort to get through the rest of the trail. And then I'm sure you could go farther down the mountaineering rabbit hole, those other gear to bring. But yeah, I think overall I was really happy with the gear that I brought, and I wouldn't have changed anything. All right, so that's my gear loadout for my Uinta Highline Trail. That's a high elevation trail with 5 days worth of gear is what I was bringing. Obviously, I'm not showing the food here. I did put the food in 1 gallon Ziploc bags. I'm sure I'll cover that in another video. So if you wanna see video and content like that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and we will be able to cover that at a later point. If you have anything, any comments or thoughts on this, make sure you leave them down in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you would have changed in my pack or what you bring in your pack. So with that, we'll see you down in the comments and on the next video.